Hi everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to have a chat to you today about my story. It's an absolute pleasure. Whether you call it a story, success story, transformation, journey, for me it's just been an extraordinary time for both my husband and myself in our quest for optimal health. But first of all, a bit about me. My name is Michelle. I'm 55 years young. I feel 25. I'm happy, I'm healthy. I'm lucky to be married to a pretty amazing man, to be surrounded by wonderful family and friends and be supported well. I love all sorts of outdoor activities, adventure, travelling. I love cooking, food, eating and cooking, anything. I love people. I love helping people. I love seeing people thrive around me. I love building strong connections. But I think my biggest passion of all is health and wellness and anything relating to living a good, healthy lifestyle. So my story, what's it all about? I actually think it's quite a wonderful story, but it starts with trauma and illness, but moved on fairly quickly to discovery, change, positivity and growth. It all started with my husband enduring a number of very serious, life-threatening illnesses over a period of time. It started with a stroke, a blocked carotid artery requiring surgery. A couple of years later, prostate cancer requiring a prostatectomy. And then a year later, quadruple bypass requiring obviously extensive surgery. 3 months after the quadruple bypass, we had the return of the cancer, prostate cancer, requiring him to then undergo a number of months of radiation treatment. And if that wasn't enough, he endured the loss of both of his parents throughout this time, the sadness and loss of both of his parents. And I actually wasn't travelling along too well myself, didn't even realise it. I'd gone years managing endometriosis, body image, weight issues, on every diet possible, you name it, I'd tried it. And I won't name them all, but we all know them. I tried them all. I had extensive gut issues. I was irritable, moody. I had eczema all over me. I had high cholesterol. I was pre-diabetic. So not travelling very well at all. But we were highly stressed as well. We were running on we don't know what at the time. Just rolling up our sleeves and getting on with it, as most people do, not realising that there's some pretty serious issues and illnesses happening or bubbling along underneath. Something was obviously wrong with how we were living our lives. Was it conventional medicine? Was it our diets? Was it our lifestyle choices? Or was it a combination of all of that? Because we were healthy, right? We ate the food pyramid. We filled out food journals. We counted calories. We jumped on the scales every day. We exercised to burn off what we ate the night before. So it's okay to eat pizza as long as we went for a run the next day. Something was wrong with this. Were we getting enough sleep? Were we outdoors enough? Curiosity kicked in. It was a reason why we were getting so unwell. So curiosity sure did kick in. I started researching, reading everything I could get my hands on, attending every seminar, workshop, conference, you name it. I started exploring different diets, lifestyle choices, everything, you name it. I researched it, all topics from gut health, fermenting vegetables, diabetes, all sorts of topics, and it all started. I actually at that same time started to do CrossFit training, coincidentally. Just wanted to try something different. And in CrossFit, it seems to be the paleo world. And I started hearing paleo this, paleo that. We've got to follow a paleo diet. And I'd never really heard of it before. So I came home and started researching that as well. Then I went and bought a book, Paleo for Dummies. And I started learning all about Paleolithic times and the diet and eating natural whole foods and eating only what caveman ate and all that sort of thing, and getting off processed foods and the benefits. And that led me into Tim Noakes and the Real Meal Revolution. I then went on and did Tim Noakes's course on Banting, he calls it. So that's when I started entering into the low carb world and started having some fantastic results from just starting to make some small changes. My passion was well and truly ignited at this point. There was no turning back. Doors and opportunities were opening. The information and research was just overwhelming. I had many light bulb moments. It was at this point that I started to build my support crew, because it was through this research that I actually stumbled on some pretty extraordinary leaders and experts in the LCHF or low carb world. So I set about building my support crew. The first member of my support crew was my GP, Zishan Aran, and he is an LCHF GP who specialises in holistic medicine. So he looks at us as a whole. So changing from a conventional GP who just treats an illness has been one of the biggest changes that I've made. Z's knowledge in the LCHF world has been instrumental in turning our health around. He has monitored us every step of the way, offered many counselling sessions and wiped up many tears, but he's been just amazing. I remember my first consult was about 3 weeks after my husband had his quadruple bypass surgery, so we're going back 5.5 years now. And I remember making the appointment, but I couldn't get in for a few weeks, so I was stressed about that. But I had to go there with previous blood work for both my husband and I. I had to take at least a 2 or 3 week food diary with me. So what have we been eating? And any history, obviously, that we could give him, to give him an overview of us. And then we set about, I'll never forget going in there that first time, and I think we were at our heightened from a stress perspective, and he just chipped away. We first of all started having monthly consults with him. I could call him if I needed to, but he was counselling me just as much as he was treating Paul. And then he started on me a year or so later with my stress levels, etc. as well. He's been a wonderful support. And the next member of my support crew is Vicky Creel, a LCHF dietitian based in Melbourne. She's pretty much the LCHF nutrition pioneer for dietitian in Australia, really. I first came across Vicky when she presented at the I think it was called the Australian Health Summit in Melbourne. And then I decided that I must book in an appointment and see her. So off I went. And the first consult with Vicky was good, actually, because I had already been studying with the paleo side of things, and she just tweaked my diet and started talking to me more about LCHF or low carb and validating really my thoughts, but tweaking me here and there with, maybe different amounts of protein and fats and things like that. So my journey with Vicky began. She's been a fantastic guide and mentor and support for us as we've gone through our journey, and she's become a friend, which is lovely. Vicky taught me everything about low carb, but most importantly, she taught me the science behind low carb. The why would I go low carb? What are the benefits? I remember when I first met Vicky, she introduced me to her 6-week low carb challenge, which is like a structured program around introducing people to the low carb world, walking them through all the information you'd need to know, and just sort of slowly introducing you to that way of living. And I did it. I did that program. In fact, I've done it numerous times since, because it's constantly teaching me and reinforcing why I've adapted this lifestyle. But most importantly, it was things like, what is metabolic syndrome, what to look out for, insulin resistance versus sensitivity, fat adaptation, just eating real food, the benefits and the quality of the food we eat, oils, sugar, where it's hidden in labels in food. We then went on and were looking at fasting protocols and the different types of fasting protocols. So what have I learned, and where to from here? We weren't healthy. We were actually really highly inflamed and suffering metabolic syndrome and a number of risk factors. We were focusing way too much on diets, numbers, scales, calorie counting. We were thinking that exercise was going to fix a poor diet, and that the conventional medicine wasn't working for us, and the food pyramid certainly wasn't working for us. So what changed, or what can we change? We can change the way we live. We can make some lifestyle changes. We can also change and give our diet a bit of an overhaul, and that's what we went about doing. So changes have been made, and we've been just taking baby steps, and we're constantly a work in progress. But we went about removing grains, processed carbs, refined sugars. We just started to eat real food. We introduced a mantra of eat when you're hungry until full, and the art of listening to my body. So I don't snack. I'm not searching for food all the time, which has been the biggest change. And I'm not obsessed with food and this whole, I've got to eat every 2 or 3 hours. It's been quite liberating, I guess, to know that I'm not focusing on food all the time. I love fasting. So fasting is now in my daily routine. So I will often only eat 2 meals a day, one or 2 meals a day, and I don't snack. And I feel amazing. We're exercising every day. I'm HIIT training 3 or 4 times a week, plus spin classes, plus walking. We'd go on our hiking holidays, walking every day. So the changes have been enormous, and I'm feeling like we've got more energy, we're sleeping better, we just have a bigger zest and energy in life. It's been quite extraordinary changes. So with the changes that we've made, what have we noticed physically? So within the first couple of weeks of starting this lifestyle, my eczema disappeared, gone, which is great. With my gut issues, did take a little bit longer, but gone. I don't have any problems anymore. I certainly don't have the bloated that I used to get. And if I do, I know that it's normally because of something I've eaten. The other thing is the mood swings and irritability. I'm so much calmer just not eating all of this processed food. So that was the short term. Long term, blood work. So improvements in our cholesterol levels and a number of other of our metabolic syndrome risk factors. We just don't have them. So we've improved all of those markers. I'm not pre-diabetic anymore, and I have great cholesterol levels, great blood work. But I've also lost, I think it's around about, 12 to 15 kilos. But it hasn't been through a diet, an effort. It's just been happening naturally as I've changed lifestyles. Through this whole process and growth, I've learned more than anything that transformational change it's not just about the food you eat. There's so much more to it. I like to group them broadly into move, mind, rest and fuel. And it's looking after the whole body. So we just look after our medical and our diet advice, but we looked beyond. So what I actually went about doing was creating, as part of my support crew, was a psychologist. So somebody to help validate our emotions. We'd gone through a lot of trauma and we're coming out the other end, but we needed just a little bit of help. Also, a naturopath. So not just about nutrition and all that sort of stuff, but what other support might the body need? And that was fantastic for us as well. A great personal trainer. My husband in particular had lost a lot of confidence in his body. He'd gone through all of these excessive, massive incidents that he needed support with. He'd lost confidence. So that was a really big thing of getting somebody that was right for good movement, that was suitable for us. Myotherapy, adding that into the mix, that if we're doing all this exercise and we're looking after our bodies, making sure our bodies are moving properly and getting a good movement through relaxation and having massages regularly, and also of the mind. So learning meditation techniques was another massive thing that we did as part of this whole growth process and transformation for us. So it was holistically looking at our health, and nutrition was a big one, massively big one. So was our GP, but all of those other factors are equally as important for us. So I've embraced my transformation, although I'd always just say I'm a work in progress. I'm happy, I'm healthy, but I'll always be really curious. So I decided to study a little bit. I completed a course in Advanced Certificate in Health and Nutrition, specialising in weight management. I've also done a couple of courses under Tim Noakes Foundation, the Nutrition Network. One is LCHF Ketogenic Nutrition, professional training, and also advisor training. With that also was some health coaching and lifestyle coaching and a few other bits and pieces. We all have our own unique and beautiful story that moulds us to who we are. I just love hearing these stories, but I also love supporting others in achieving their health journey. As a result, I created Holistic Pillars. It's been a passion project of mine, but Holistic Pillars is built around what I believe are the 4 key pillars of health. So you've got your fuel, mind, move, and rest. And I believe that all 4 pillars should be equal in order to achieve optimal health. So if you would like, I've shared my story on Holistic Pillars, and I'd love to hear more of other people's stories. But it's also hopefully a place where you can go to find inspiration. There's lots of recipes, there's all sorts of bits and pieces and tidbits around health and nutrition and lifestyle. So check it out. You can also actually find me on Instagram and Facebook. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to me today. I hope and wish you all the very best with your health journey.